Alan Turing famously said, "A computer would deserve to be called intelligent if it could deceive a human into believing that it was human." The very world of science and research is dramatically shifting with the emergence of generative artificial intelligence. With Google's NotebookLM, as well as many other tools, have we been dealt a new hand of cards?
Welcome to the Grand Challengers Podcast, a show about inspiring individuals who are stepping up to tackle the global challenges that our world is facing in their own unique ways.
This is a special mini-series on Google's NotebookLM, featuring previous guests from the show and insights into the potential and perils of generative AI in science and research.
Join us on not only this little experiment, but also some deeper dives into key topics we have covered on the show so far.
From urban nature-based solutions, climate change, urban planning, ecology, livability, and even perspectives on AI in our urban environment as well.
AI is here to stay, accessing our vast collection of human knowledge, summarizing and synthesizing it, and presenting us with generated words, image, videos, voices, and much more. So join me, Peter Marcus Bach, and my guest on today's episode, Veljko Prodanovic, on this journey as we explore just how well AI can deepen our human, ecological, and artificial intelligence perspectives on urban nature-based solutions. Please enjoy. Veljko, it's good to have you back.
Hello. It's good to be back.
It's been a while. Well, not quite back for part 2, but definitely on this mini-series. And since we did your episode, you actually shifted country. Kitchen renovation done for those that are interested?
Oh, don't get me started on that. Not too happy about it. I mean, it turned out fine, but could have been better if I was around.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm in Serbia now. So last time we spoke, I was in Sydney, Australia. Now I'm in Serbia. I transitioned to the Institute for Artificial Intelligence here.
Which is perfect for this mini-series. So
it is.
Looking forward to your newly acquired knowledge as well from the time you've been there.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun to learn new stuff and to adapt my research to the AI world we live in now. And seeing what AI can do, it's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Well, and I'm looking forward to this episode. Listeners, if you haven't heard any other episodes in this mini-series, how it works is we are trying to figure out or evaluate how well an AI large language model can explain our work back to us. And so we've had 2 episodes so far where we've looked at different kinds of papers around blue-green infrastructures and urban heat. This episode is a bit different in that we're doing a bit meta. So we wrote a paper on not just human and ecological perspectives of nature-based solutions, but also on AI perspectives. And so let's see if the AI can explain itself back to us. I think it's going to be quite enjoyable today.
It's going to be fun trying to listen how AI pretending to be human is explaining to another AI pretending to be human about what AI should be doing for humans.
I almost lost the flow there.
It makes sense. If
Makes
you
sense.
play it back, it makes sense.
Definitely. So how it works is we used Google's NotebookLM. It's Google's tool built with Gemini 2.0 Flash. It's Google's personalized AI research assistant, or as Google likes to describe it, it's a tool for understanding, which is actually quite interesting. How you use it is you upload sources, different kinds of sources. Could be YouTube videos, could be PDF documents, or journal papers in our case. And it gives you instant insights. It summarizes the information and helps you, I guess, better distill the knowledge while also providing clear citation for the sources that it's using. But what we are interested in is its podcast feature. So with NotebookLM, you can also generate a deep dive conversation between 2 hosts. And yeah, we are reacting to what Google NotebookLM has generated of our paper that includes topics on AI, and that's going to be quite interesting.
First reactions, blind listen.
Definitely. What's your prior experience with AI now that you're at the AI Institute?
Well, now I have quite a few things dealing with AI. I implement now AI in a lot of the projects. We have a lot of projects with AI-focused flood assessments. We've been doing AI-focused predictions of flows in rivers for energy production. We've been dealing with new LLMs and LLM agents as well that can basically act as humans and like human agents in a big system where LLM agents or large language model agents talk to each other, which is quite
interesting.
cool.
Agentic AI is a current buzzword as of the recording of this episode. And I kind of have to say that because you never know what's going to happen 1 week down the road.
Oh, of course, this is a new trend now that has been for the last couple of months, but I'm guessing like next year, like in 6 months' time, it's going to be something completely different. And it's just riding that hype train using different models that are currently in, trying to figure out what we can use them on. And then because 6 months later, they're all obsolete and you have to use something else. So it's engaging discipline. It is really fast moving. And unfortunately, at our institute in Serbia, we don't have resources that Google and Microsoft have. So we cannot develop our completely new language models and completely new models in that sense, but we can tweak the existing ones. We could test them on different cases. So it's been fun tinkering around with new things that are coming out in AI world. A lot of interviews as well on TV because it's a very hyped topic now. People are afraid of AI, so they're always asking us for comments from our institute.
I noticed you were on TV several times.
Yeah, it's I have the most often asked question is AI going to take my job? And then I've been asked that by various types of people, especially reporters. And unfortunately for the reporters, and this we'll listen to things today as well, it looks like reporters are first on the line getting replaced.
Well, I guess, that's the doomsday scenario, but actually the doomsday scenario is worse as per a book I'm reading at the moment. But I think there's going to be a lot of rethinking of what work will look like in future.
Yeah, I think people are a little bit afraid of AI because of that, but it's just another tool like any other tools. We have to adjust. Obviously, some jobs are going to change. So we're going to see the shift in a job market. And we're going to, as we did when first computers appeared and we had a whole division of people calculators or calculator humans, and that stopped existing with the computers. A lot of different jobs will shift with the AI approach, but what AI cannot do, and I hope we'll prove it today as well, is
load a dishwasher.
Well, I don't know. There are some pretty fascinating robots coming out of Texas Instruments and all these cool guys in the US. They're building humanoid robots now.
We have yet to see.
But what they cannot do is so far is create new stuff. They're just replicating what they know and what's been already created. So that imagination will be crucial. Imagination and critical thinking of humans that humans possess is going to be kind of crucial thing. And that's good. If you ever watch Star Trek and other sci-fi shows, you see that all these basic jobs are getting replaced by computers and robots, but humans are still there to guide the process and to have ideas. And it's fun.
And so have you used any particular, or do you use any particular AI, generative AI tools on a daily basis?
I do, maybe not on a daily basis, but I use ChatGPT quite often, especially for some very repetitive jobs where I have to summarize something for some report or for some email or for some notes. It's very useful to double check my English. As you can hear, I'm not native, but it does help out with cleaning up the texts that are right for some basic generation of things. I don't really use it for anything that requires thoughtful process because it hallucinates a lot and it lies a lot, basically, that which is hallucination. It's very convincing lie, technically, and we discussed that in one of our other papers and in this one as well. So maybe we'll hear AI talking about how AI hallucinates.
Yeah. So we have this audio from NotebookLM. What's also different compared to the previous 2 episodes we've had is that this time I've generated the audio with a specific prompt, telling the AI to focus on the AI-specific parts of the paper. So that'll be interesting to see to what extent it's able to weave a story around this particular prompt and to what extent this prompt is considered as part of the end result. So for the listeners, can you give me a quick, human summary of what this paper is about before we dive into it?
So this is not a novel research paper. This is a perspectives paper from people working in the disciplines of human, ecological, and AI-centric domains of development of urban nature-based solutions or blue-green infrastructure, focusing specifically on biodiversity outcomes. So when we design nature-based solutions in the cities, what do we usually focus on? What are the benefits of focusing on human parts of MBS? What are the benefits of focusing on ecological? And how does AI reconcile between two sides of the human and ecocentric that are fighting for dominance in the MBS design? So we talked about different perspectives there. We talked about how we see the future, the AI future, where it helps. I don't know if we should talk about conclusions right in this section. I want to hear first what conclusions AI made, and then we can discuss that in line with what
saving it for last. So, yep. The paper is titled Urban Nature-Based Solutions Planning for Biodiversity Outcomes, Human, Ecological, and Artificial Intelligence Perspectives, written by yourself, Veljko, myself, and your colleague Milan Stojkovic, published in Urban Ecosystems in 2024.
Yes.
So, without further ado, let's listen in.
Ever watch those cityscapes on nature documentaries? You know, the ones with crazy ants building towers and birds making nests from cigarette butts?
Yeah.
Always makes me wonder what they think of all the concrete.
Like what's going through their little bird brains, right?
Seriously. Like we paved over their paradise just to put up more pavement, you know. All that expansion got to do a number on their biodiversity.
For sure. Shrinking habitats, cutting up their migration routes, the whole 9 yards.
Oh my God. Oh wow, that was entertaining already. But that's a really nice way of describing it.
Very interesting perspective. I haven't thought about that. When I was writing a paper, I definitely did not picture it like that. So it's let's see where they go with this, because I don't really, I mean, there is a pathway to the paper from this, but let's see where they go.
I don't know if they're taking ecological perspectives very literally, but
yeah.
Hey, why not? This is great.
Yeah, it's rough. And not just pigeons dodging traffic. We're talking the whole web of life getting squeezed.
Definitely. And that's actually what some new research we've been digging into is saying.
It is.
Big time. And luckily, this is where nature-based solutions come in, NBS for short.
Okay, nature-based solutions. Remind me where that is again?
Basically, imagine nature's Swiss Army knife, multi-purpose ecosystems.
So like a park that also helps with flooding.
Exactly. They can help us with environmental stuff, social things, even economics. And the best part, biodiversity is baked right in.
Not just an afterthought.
No, it's a core ingredient. So, you know, if you've ever let out at like another new apartment complex going up and thought, is this really the best we can do?
Oh, all the time.
You are not alone. And that's why we're taking this deep dive into how we plan urban NBS.
Love a good deep dive.
Same here.
Wow, that was smooth. I mean, that was just analogy filled and just visual, and it just flowed. And I don't know, to me, it's like one of the best things I've ever heard about how you can build a perspective on what nature-based solutions are and how biodiversity is the core of it.
Yeah. Our paper is a bit more balanced, I guess, between different approaches, especially in introduction. I don't know if I was listening to your episode with Lucas, and I know you were discussing whether the LM kind of scrolls through paper linearly and finds things. It does not seem to me from this, because it does not really follow the structure of our paper. We did not so much focus on biodiversity from ecological perspective, where we're kind of mixing it up with human perspective as well. We're talking about people as well in introduction and how people fit into that.
Yeah, that's interesting, because this paper is not as rigid as the one we presented on the first episode of the mini series. And then to be fair enough to the AI as well, the second episode with Shirley Tao, that wasn't a very repetitive one either, and that was a literature review. So I think it depends maybe on how it distills the information, maybe the version number. As we said, things can change from week to week. But this was certainly a very nice way to ease into the topic itself.
Yeah, no, it's a smooth transition into stuff. I'm still interested where they're going to take it, because they're going very heavy on birds and the bees.
True.
So we'll see how, because you prompted it specifically to talk about AI.
And it hasn't yet. So
let's see what happens. Mentioned it yet at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what happens.
Today's mission, unpack the different approaches. We've got human-centric, eco-centric, and then this kind of sci-fi AI thing.
Whoa! AI getting involved in urban planning. Okay, I'm intrigued. But first, back to basics. Human-centric, that just means we design stuff for, well, us, right?
Yeah, basically. In the early days of NBS, cities were growing so fast that the focus was on, like, solving human problems.
Makes sense. Got to keep people happy when things are changing so quickly.
Right, like scorching summers in concrete jungles, trees and parks, instant natural AC, wetlands. They're like giant temperature regulators.
Okay, I get it. Keeping cities livable.
Exactly. We've also gotten super clever with things like, flood defenses.
Oh yeah, like those, what are they called? Rain gardens.
Rain gardens, retention basins, even vegetation barriers, all mimicking nature to soak up excess water.
So cool. And we can't forget those plant systems that clean the air and water, right?
Absolutely. Those are working overtime to make our urban environments healthier.
It's amazing what some greenery can do. But it's not just about the practical stuff, right? Parks and green spaces make people happier too.
Totally. Huge mental and physical health benefits. And let's not forget the just plain nice factor.
Yeah, a pretty park to chill in, that's priceless.
And there's the economic side, too. Studies show that being near a well-designed NBS can actually increase property values.
Ka-ching.
Right? That Sydney rain garden study you mentioned apparently boosted nearby property values like crazy.
So lucky homeowners get a nice little bonus. But I'm guessing putting an exact dollar figure on the less obvious stuff, like, feeling good, that's got to be tricky, right?
You nailed it. Researchers are trying, but their methods are, well, kind of specific to each situation.
I don't remember. Did they mention this Sydney study before?
That's an interesting observation.
Is that Sydney study that you mentioned before, blah, 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 for the economic analysis? I don't know if I don't think they mentioned it before.
They didn't mention it, no. Yeah. But we certainly cite it.
Of course.
Yeah.
And there's citation of that, there's proof of that in the paper. But yeah. So I think that solidifies my point for previously that it's probably not that linear then. So it scans the whole paper and builds a story out of it.
That seems to be a piece of evidence towards that.
Yeah, it should not have known about that study if it went linearly like that. It should not have mentioned, that Sydney study that you mentioned before.
Yeah.
The other speaker should have said I didn't mention that.
It's funny. We this is the third episode of the mini series, and actually, I have not once thought that maybe we should give the speakers names, but we haven't. We haven't given them
human.
Names.
They are saying cities we live in.
Yes, they are
saying
that
our well-being. I like that.
I mean, this is yet another attempt for the AI to pass the Turing test. So, and apparently there's another test that's even more telling, or even more challenging, which is the Loveless test. So. Yeah, we're at this stage where generative AI can do that really well.
Yeah, but it did summarize things quite well. I feel like, it made very clear specific points that we do make in this paper about what human benefits or human-centric design is focused on. So it's good. It's good. Yeah. I like it.
For those who are unfamiliar, the Turing test is the famous test, Alan Turing, that sort of, I guess, how do I say it in simple words?
Founder of AI, of computers, modern computer.
The Turing test is really a way of checking if the artificial intelligence is capable of thinking like a human being. So, there's uncanny valley where we start to think of, well, is this actually believable or not? And actually the Loveless test, which people often say is a much better indicator or better measure of artificial intelligence performance, is actually a test of how creative the AI is. So one is more about being convincing. The other one is actually about being creative. And I think what we're listening to at the moment is really one of those cases where I don't know how long it would take me to come up with such a witty intro. So kudos to them. Hats off to them.
Yeah, but you did 3 of these now. Oh, this is your 3rd.
Yeah.
Do you see any patterns on how it's creating these discussions? Do you see that it has some sort of preset patterns that it follows, or no?
If I put on my scientist hat, then I don't think you can directly compare these 3 examples. And I'm deliberately making them quite different because we're trying to explore the diversity and the capabilities of NotebookLM. So I think you'd have to repeat this with several different papers and see if there's a set structure. But at the moment, so far, it's different and I'm enjoying it. So
yeah, no, it's fun.
So no universal happy meter just yet.
Happy
Not
meter.
quite. And it's funny, even with all the effort to quantify things like clean air, studies show people often care more about what they can see and experience right away.
Makes sense. Like a beautiful park you can scroll through versus like a slightly lower smog level you can't really see.
Exactly. Aesthetics and recreation often win out. And biodiversity benefits, sadly, they are ranking them lower.
Oh, bummer. Speaking of money, all this green goodness can't be cheap, right?
You're telling me the long-term costs are a big question mark for a lot of MBS projects.
Is it the plants themselves? Or is it more complicated than that?
Way more complicated. It's all about the complexity of the project, how long it's going to last, and even how we measure the economic value.
Like, are we just talking dollars and cents, or are we also factoring in, like, the benefit of a healthier ecosystem?
Both, but it's tough to put a price on those ecosystem services. So yeah, while some homeowner might see their property value go up, cities often foot the bill for maintenance.
So it's landscaping, water management, all that jazz.
Exactly. Not cheap. Which is why I was so interested to read about that zero additional maintenance NBS concept.
Ooh, yeah. Is that the solution? Like, nature taking care of itself?
It's a great idea in theory, design it so it basically runs itself.
Sounds like a dream.
Right. There are some cool examples popping up, but it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Plus, we got to think about social equity.
Oh, right, that whole green gentrification thing, right? Where only the rich get to enjoy nature.
Exactly. It's a real concern if only wealthier neighborhoods can afford these fancy MBS projects.
Then it just widens the gap, right?
You got it. Could end up pushing out lower-income residents.
That's the opposite of what we want. It's like we're creating these amazing green spaces, but only some people get a key.
It's a tough balance for sure. And then there's the whole issue of just slapping some greenery onto existing infrastructure.
Like, oh, let's just pop some trees here and call it a day.
Pretty much. It's convenient, but it often creates these isolated patches of green.
So it's not a connected ecosystem then?
Nope.
Wow. So what's definitely different is it seems to be a much bigger interplay of words, a much more creative use of words to explain the concept. And it's definitely reflecting, I guess, the complexity of this paper because we cover a lot of these different benefits. And I think the diversity of the literature that we cite in this paper basically shows you just how broad the thinking is. The AI is doing a very good job of it, but I feel like it's also very challenging to keep up with it. Constantly new information.
It is, yeah. Sometimes it references, again, things that hasn't really described in too much details, like this zero maintenance WUSD or MBS concept. That's a completely different paper that we do cite and that we do mention in a sentence or two or three sentences, I can't remember. It's like a paper on its own. It just kind of glances over it. So for listeners who are not familiar with that, it could be like too much information, yeah.
So tell me about this zero additional maintenance water sensitive design concept, because you've also delved a bit into it.
It's a concept that you want to, because it's very hard to maintain MBSs when they are in the environment. Not hard to maintain, but it's costly for councils and for government to maintain them. And people are afraid of new things that they don't recognize. The idea is to blend MBS into existing grass strips so residents can view them as just a normal grass strip. And in Australia, where this concept was rolled out, residents are used to maintaining their own grass strips in front of their houses. So it's kind of what they do normally. It's a part of the culture there to maintain your own backyard and your own front yard as well. So council wants to build MBSs so they are effective. So they do what they need to do in terms of water management, but be indistinguishable from a natural grass strip. So people can just maintain that on their own and council doesn't have to do anything.
That's a clever way of thinking about it and also bringing the public on board.
Well, yeah,
Or
there's an
using the
argument.
public.
Exactly. There's an argument whether it's better to maybe educate the public, but there's a lot of research on trying to educate the public as well. And then this is a completely like, oh, we're not going to educate them. We're just going to hide things from them and hopefully they'll get on board, which it works pretty well, actually. Yeah.
We'll definitely have to put in the show notes for those who are interested in reading more, because it's been a topic that's popped up on the show several times in the past.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
So it's not a connected ecosystem then?
Nope. Which means you miss out on the big benefits like large parks for recreation or wildlife corridors for animals to move around.
Right, it's all fragmented. So just adding a bit of green here and there isn't enough. We need a more, I don't know, holistic approach.
You nailed it. And that's where public co-design comes in. Get the community involved in the planning.
Community brainstorming sessions, design workshops, that kind of thing.
Exactly. When people feel like they're part of the process, they value the MBS more.
And they'll probably take better care of it too, right? Less littering, more community cleanups.
Exactly. Could even lead to lower maintenance costs in the long run.
Smart move.
Unless you hide it from them.
And I was really fascinated by that culturally inclusive water urban design concept. I would,
yeah.
It's more than just planting the right trees, right?
Way more. It's about weaving the history, culture, and local traditions of a place into the design.
So, like a park in a historically agricultural area might feature native plants used in traditional farming or something.
That's the idea. What works as a MBS in one place might not in another.
Totally. I mean, think about like ancient Chinese water management techniques or how indigenous Australians view their waterways.
Exactly. It's about connecting to the soul of a place.
I don't think we mentioned ancient Chinese water management techniques, so that's its own creation. We didn't mention the Australian one, so it's interesting that it added its own thing. You don't have anything to say about it?
I do. We actually did.
We did.
Not quite. I quote directly from the paper. Recently, this was seen in the Chinese city of Chengdu, where green facades and vertical forests attract mosquitoes, resulting in lower human habitation in adjacent buildings.
Yeah, but that's not ancient Chinese.
Which is not
water
ancient
management.
Chinese.
Yeah.
But going a bit earlier in the paper, the concept of CI wood, was that, we discussed this on your episode, but it only now occurred to me that the acronym actually has a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
Was this the intention all along?
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out the acronym, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, see, I just learned something from the AI itself. Are you impressed that they got the acronym correct?
I was very happy with that, yes.
Yeah, so very, very good. Supported. Listeners, if you want to hear more about this culturally inclusive...
It's another paper.
Called Water Urban Design. It's not just another paper. We discussed this on your episode. So go check out Veljko's main episode of the show. But coming back to this, so China is mentioned in the same sentence where this term shows up. So CI wood, and further supported in many regions of the world, such as China, South Africa, Australia. So...
Okay, that's where it came from. Okay, I mean, yes, obviously it is, but yeah, I see that now.
Subtleties and nuances in the words, and also things that belong in the same sentence seem to influence the way it generates its content. But super interesting. Let's keep going.
And that makes the MBS more meaningful for locals.
They'll feel more connected to it, which probably means they'll take better care of it. But with nature, there are always surprises, right? Like those green facades in Chengdu attracting tons of mosquitoes.
Yeah, that was an interesting case study. Shows how even the best intentions can have unintended consequences.
Nature finds a way, right?
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that we got to think about all the possible outcomes, good and bad.
Absolutely. Got to keep it holistic. Okay, so we've talked about human-centric design, but now let's flip the script.
Time for ecocentric, where it's all about the plants and animals.
You got it. Ecocentric design puts the focus on the well-being of the whole ecosystem.
Sounds like a breath of fresh air for the non-human residents of our cities.
It is. And within this approach, there are different schools of thought. We've got reservation ecology.
Protecting what's left, right?
Yep. Then there's restoration ecology, actively healing damaged ecosystems. But the one gaining traction, especially in urban areas, is reconciliation ecology.
Reconciliation ecology. That sounds interesting. Is that like humans and nature making peace?
Pretty much. It challenges this old idea that humans and nature need to be separate.
So it's more about finding ways to coexist.
Exactly. It's like, hey, we can design cities where both humans and nature can thrive. This idea is really influencing architecture and urban planning these days.
Did you say architecture?
I think so, yeah.
Interesting. So they are moving chronologically through the paper.
Yeah.
Because we started with the human-centric approach, then the ecocentric. So I haven't heard much about the AI, even though we told it to focus on the AI. But I guess these prompts for NotebookLM, and especially for the deep dive, can only be as guiding as, the paper structure allows.
I guess so, yeah. It does move linearly through some bits, yeah.
Yeah, but let's see what else it has to say about the ecological perspectives.
So less perfectly manicured lawns and more like embracing the wild side a bit.
You're getting it. It's all about integration, not separation. Because remember all that urban sprawl we talked about? It's causing major habitat loss and fragmentation.
Yeah, it's like taking a big, beautiful tapestry and cutting it into tiny pieces.
Exactly. And that
wow.
messes with the whole system. Less diversity, harder for species to move around, find mates. Not good.
So it's not just about the number of species, but also how they interact and connect with each other, right?
Right on. And even though biodiversity is supposed to be a key part of MBS, actually putting it into practice is a whole other ballgame.
So it's one thing to write it down on paper and another to make it happen in a city.
Exactly. We're still figuring out how to design for both human and ecological needs at the same time.
It's a lot to juggle, for sure.
So the conflict is starting that we mentioned that this paper is about.
To talk about the clash.
Yeah.
I mean, it introduced it nicely, I think, and yeah, we'll see how it processes information after that.
I really like the pause, the effective pause.
I mean, they're very effective speakers.
Definitely. It's a single AI.
We'll give them names: Martha and Stuart.
Martha and Stuart. Okay. We will dub them Martha and Stuart. So, Martha and Stuart, let's keep going.
So are we talking about considering both land and water ecosystems?
Yes. Plus all the interactions between plants and animals, symbiotic relationships, predator-prey dynamics, invasive species, climate change impacts. It's a lot.
Wow, that does sound like a complex puzzle. So how are we even starting to wrap our heads around all of this? Where do we begin?
Well, early efforts relied on what we call proxy indicators.
Proxy indicators, like stand-ins for the real thing.
Exactly. Things we thought indicated good habitat or connectivity, even if we weren't directly measuring every single species.
Makes sense. Got to start somewhere, right?
Right. But more recently, we're getting more precise. On a regional level, we're focusing on landscape connectivity.
So how well different natural areas are linked together across a whole region?
Yep. And locally, it's about smarter design choices, like picking plants that actually benefit local wildlife.
Oh, so it's not just about looking pretty, but also about creating functional habitats.
Exactly. Now, you might be wondering how we even measure this ecological connectivity thing.
Yeah, it sounds kind of abstract. Like, do we give animals tiny PPS trackers?
Ha! That'd be cool, but no.
Oh, I wish. I think any ecologist would love for that to happen.
Well, actually, there are studies where they
There are
actually
some.
do that, but
But every single animal might be a bit exhaustive.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I was in charge of writing most of this section, and it's certainly doing a really good job at summarizing. It's really putting the different spatial scales into perspective and sort of what matters, and bringing in the concrete things that we can think about when we work with urban MBS nowadays compared to all the proxy approaches that we took in the past. And it is a section that's close to my heart because I teach NBS, and when I get to the definition, and biodiversity being a very core part because that term stems from the conservation sciences compared to terms like sponge cities or blue-green infrastructures, which have subtle differences. It's one thing bringing biodiversity into the definition of it, but it's another putting it into practice. So they're doing a very good job in really bringing that out and emphasizing that.
I agree. I don't know if it's the writer that synthesized it well or the AI that argued it well, but let's say both.
Although I think Martha is doing most of the brunt work explaining everything, and Stuart is just going, yep, yep.
Lazy
There for
Stuart.
comic relief. Come on, Stuart. Give us more wisdom.
There are a few methods. Some borrow ideas from island biogeography, looking at how habitat size and isolation affect species.
Makes sense. Isolated areas probably support fewer species, right?
Exactly. Then there are models that track how populations move and interact across landscapes.
Like predicting where animals will go based on the available habitats.
Exactly. Then there's graph theory, finding the easiest path for animals to travel between habitats, and even models based on electrical circuits, simulating gene flow and animal movement.
Wow. Who knew electrical circuits and ecosystems had something in common? Science is amazing.
It really is. So basically, by understanding the bigger picture, we can strategically design local NBS to act like stepping stones for wildlife.
So connecting those fragmented habitats back together bit by bit.
Exactly. And get this, studies show that sometimes urban NBS can actually be better habitats than regular green spaces.
Really. So it's not just about making up for lost natural areas, it's about creating something even better.
Sometimes, yeah, those plants in bioretention systems and green roofs, they're not just pretty, key. They're cleaning pollution, cooling things down, and providing food and shelter for wildlife.
Multitasking superheroes. And while putting a price on nature is difficult, we know that losing biodiversity costs us big time, right?
Absolutely. Economically speaking, biodiversity loss is a global crisis. Some studies even try to put a dollar value on urban ecosystems, and it's a lot.
Makes you think protecting nature isn't just morally right, it's smart business too.
100%. And there's this idea called the field of dreams hypothesis.
Build it and they will come, like that Kevin Costner movie.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's especially true for wetland restoration. You create the right conditions, and the species often show up on their own.
Like nature saying, thanks for the invite, we'll take it from here.
Ha! Pretty much. But of
What
course,
was
it's
that?
not that simple. We still need that regional understanding, careful local design, economic smarts, and good governance to make it work.
So it's a mix of planning and letting nature do its thing.
You got it. Okay, ready to enter the matrix.
Hit me with the AI. I'm ready to learn how robots are going to design our cities.
Okay.
We definitely did not put a reference to the Kevin Costner movie in the paper. So
No, but
that was nice.
if you remember, it's powered by Gemini 2.0. It's built so that it is less creative and should not hallucinate. But it has access to Gemini's training corpus, and therefore, I'm sure the Kevin Costner movie, or at least any kind of reference to it, will be in its training data. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And that, it's often interrelated, that the field of dreams hypothesis is borrowed from that movie or vice versa. No, it is from that movie. So build it and they come. Although I think that movie was about baseball.
I mean, I think build it and they will come is from the Old Testament.
Well, that too.
So it's a little bit older than Kevin Costner movie. But I have to thank Stuart for saying that science is fun.
Yes. No, definitely. And
good
I take it all
observation.
back. Stuart is just, he's killing it. He's doing a great job. So let's dive into the matrix, because
Let's
this
go.
is what we've been waiting for.
Yes.
Robots might be a stretch, but AI is definitely changing the game. With all the advancements in data science and tech, AI is helping us monitor and predict biodiversity like never before.
Okay, AI, big data. I'm getting some serious sci-fi vibes here, but in a good way.
It is pretty mind-blowing. The idea is that AI can help us protect biodiversity way more efficiently, maybe even autonomously.
Autonomous biodiversity protection, that sounds straight out of a movie.
I know, right? But think about it. We've got tons of satellite images being collected all the time.
Yeah, like Google Earth on steroids.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
AI can process all that data to create maps of species locations, biodiversity richness, even compile species lists for entire regions.
So instead of researchers trekking through forests counting bugs, AI can do it from space.
Pretty much. Way faster and covers way more ground. And then there's AI-powered cameras and sensors for monitoring species on the ground.
So like automated bird watchers.
Exactly. And we've got platforms like GBIF making tons of species data publicly available, which is a gold mine for AI.
So an interesting slight exaggeration, I would say, I think by Stuart, because, watching from space, or I mean, if you think about it and you boil it down to its most simplistic statement, yes, that's what it is. But when you think you need to worry about satellite image resolution, the quality of it, what are you actually capturing, especially if you're observing Earth. I mean, we've had many episodes where we brought in satellite data and talked about its relevance. But there will always be certain things that you can't control and certain quality issues that will prevent you from, actually trying to achieve what Stuart is describing.
Of course.
So
We could still not do what they do in movies when they go enhance,
Yes.
enhance image, zoom in, enhance, and then you see a little bug from the satellite. That doesn't work like that. Enhancing doesn't work. Oh, well, kind of does to a degree actually with the AI tools now, but not to that degree.
Or maybe we're just not blue sky enough. We should start some startups, around these ideas.
Yeah.
Might attract some
And we'll
investment.
call the company Enhance.
Right, perfect. See? Yeah. New things born on the Grand Challenges podcast every day.
Of course.
So AI is basically becoming a biodiversity expert, huh?
You could say that. Now, in urban planning, AI can act as a super smart planning support system.
Giving humans better info to make decisions.
Yep. But even cooler, it's starting to do generative design, actually creating designs for urban environments.
Whoa, hold up. AI is designing our cities now. That's a big jump.
It is. We're seeing it especially in urban water planning, using AI to design sustainable and resilient water systems.
So AI could design like a network of rain gardens and bioswales that work perfectly together.
Exactly. It's all part of this smart design framework where AI helps speed up and improve the whole design process.
Okay, so it's not just number crunching, it's creative too.
Definitely. Now, for MBS planning, there are a few ways AI is being used. First, there's the black box approach.
Black box. Sounds kind of mysterious.
It is. It's where complex AI models find hidden patterns and make predictions even if we don't fully understand how they got there.
So it's like, here's the answer, trust me.
Kinda. It can be really effective for spotting those subtle ecological trends. Then there's the white box approach, which uses past examples to find solutions.
So learning from what worked before.
Exactly. Like this rain garden design worked well in that neighborhood. Let's try it here. And finally, there are hybrid approaches combining both.
Best of both worlds.
Right. And these AI models aren't just for design. They can monitor how well a NBS project is performing.
So it's like a constant checkup to make sure things are running smoothly.
Exactly. And they can even do real-time control, adjusting things based on the data they're getting from sensors.
Wow, it's like a self-driving car for nature.
That's a good analogy.
A self-driving car for nature.
Yeah, most of these things we do touch on in the paper, but they're mostly the perspectives of what will come, especially in urban MBS. Maybe we weren't
explicit
enough in explaining that some of these approaches have been used, obviously, for rural MBS, for large-scale MBS. These black box approaches have been used in designing how big they need to be. For river catchment management. And these white boxes where they learn from patterns obviously have been applied a lot in AI design, but still not, to my knowledge, in NBS design specifically. But there's nothing really stopping us from doing that except for the lack of data to train the systems on. So methodologically, there's nothing stopping us to do that. Maybe the paper is not explicit enough in saying this.
But I guess they're also referring to methodologies around, machine learning techniques for computer vision, and there are some applications in the flood modeling space, for example. And this is, I think, has been one of the more common areas in urban water where machine learning techniques are explored, real-time control being the other one, where AI can then predict ahead of time, often much faster for forecasting and nowcasting, so that it can make the, I guess, hopefully correct decision during a real-time event.
That side has seen some development in recent years, and it is going to be more and more prominent in the future as well. So
So I think developments in their own respective sectors of the urban water discipline, but maybe not specific to NBS yet, but in development. So
exactly.
Let's keep going.
And get this, AI is helping us tackle climate change too.
How's that?
By building models that account for the unpredictable nature of climate change, we can see how it might affect things like water flow and ecosystem.
So we can design NBS that can handle whatever crazy weather comes our way.
Exactly. AI is even being used to come up with smarter strategies for dealing with urban flooding.
Flooding's a huge problem these days.
You're telling me AI is giving us better tools for predicting floods in the short term and managing flood risk in the long term.
So it's both immediate and preventative?
Yep. Early AI flood models were a bit limited, but new neural networks are getting much better at learning from past floods and understanding how water moves through cities.
So, like, AI is becoming a flood expert, too?
Pretty much, though we still need good data to train these models and, collaboration between water engineers and AI experts.
Makes sense. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? Now, even with all this cool tech, it still feels like human needs often come first. Can AI actually help balance things out between us and nature?
That's the million-dollar question. And the hope is, yes, AI could be less biased than us and weigh human and ecological needs more fairly.
So it's like having a neutral judge in the urban planning courtroom.
Ha-ha, exactly.
The urban planning courtroom.
Yeah. Light bulb moment for Martha.
Yeah. But you can tell it's like they try to bring in the emotions, but that's something that AI isn't quite perfect yet at doing. So
yeah. They're a little bit over exaggerating on some bits, but I think it synthesizes things well. It flows smoothly from one topic to another. So I'm impressed.
Yeah. So am I. Let's see how they wrap this up.
Plus, AI can speed up the whole planning process, which means we can involve communities more easily.
More time for brainstorming and getting everyone on board.
Exactly. And speaking of communication, AI can help with that too. You know how different groups involved in MBS projects often use different jargon?
Like ecologists talking about biodiversity hotspots and engineers talking about hydraulic conductivity.
Exactly. AI can help translate and create shared understanding so everyone's on the same page.
So AI is like the universal translator for urban planning. Awesome.
So this is the bit I was talking about at the beginning. These large language model agents are the new rage for they're used for different disciplines now. They haven't been used yet in urban water management or MBS design, but they have a huge perspective because you can basically train a specific agent to be a communication agent that does text to speech and speech to text, and then that puts it back. So you have a communication with the stakeholders, for example, or someone who works on management of these systems, and then you have one that deals with database, another one that deals with models, and they can talk to each other. And it's a very fun thing to do, and it's very useful.
Yeah, agentic AI is something that I'm trying to, I guess, wrap my head around, especially in how you build them as well, because that's sort of where we're heading, and that's where a lot of the big tech companies are now focusing a lot of their attention on. We have, I guess, the different AI tools, to generate images, to generate text, to generate audio, etc. But it's how we then, I guess, integrate them. And this is happening a lot faster than, let's say, how the urban water management field has evolved from separate sectors to integration. So yeah, definitely something that's, we need to keep up with.
I mean, the good thing is we don't have to retrain or fine-tune LLMs. We can use LLMs such as ChatGPT, for example, and you have new technique called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, which just trains it on a specific data sets, making it expert in one specific thing. So you don't going towards these general AI or generic AI that knows everything. It would be probably a bunch of smaller models that kind of talk to each other that are specified for one specific task.
And in a way, that's how a lot of machine learning algorithms in the past were also developed, to be focused on a particular task. And it's still, I guess, how we are looking at it. It's just the training data set is much larger. So, but the task is still text generation, and it's still image generation, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's see how they go on from here.
And what about all this buzz about AI generating realistic images? Can that help with MBS too?
Big time. This is generative AI, and it can create stunning visuals of urban environments based on simple text prompts.
Whoa, so I could type in eco-friendly park with a pond and lots of birds, and AI would create a picture of it.
Exactly. And that's amazing for communicating design ideas to the public. They can actually see what the project could look like.
Way more engaging than blueprints and technical drawings, for sure.
Right. And generative AI can also show us the potential outcomes of a project.
So instead of reading a boarding report, we could see a virtual tour of the park with thriving plants and happy animals.
Exactly. It's all about making the benefits more tangible. And some countries are already using AI to visualize future MBS designs.
That's incredible. But with any new tech, there's got to be some skepticism, right?
Of course. One thing is, AI depends on the data it's trained on. If the data's biased, the AI will be too...
Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. Plus, the way some AI models make decisions can be a bit of a black box, which makes some people uneasy.
Like, how did the AI come up with this design? What's the logic?
Exactly. While researchers are working on making AI more transparent, that uncertainty is still there. But some argue that AI's flexibility might actually be better suited for dealing with the randomness of nature.
Interesting. So, to sum it all up, we've tended to design cities for ourselves first, which is understandable.
Especially with cities growing so quickly.
Right. But now we're realizing the importance of ecocentric design, putting nature's needs front and center.
And AI is coming in as a potential game changer, helping us balance those human and ecological priorities.
It's like AI is giving us the tools to create cities that work for everyone, humans and non-humans alike.
Absolutely. It's not perfect, of course. Human-centric design often has stronger backing, while ecocentric design is still finding its footing.
But AI could help bridge that gap, right? Speeding up planning, improving communication, and showing us the amazing potential of MBS.
Exactly. And while we're still figuring out AI's role, its ability to handle complex data and the unpredictable nature of ecosystems could be revolutionary.
It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era of urban planning, one where nature has a seat at the table.
And a voice, thanks to AI.
Exactly.
Oh.
So here's something to think about. As AI evolves, how will our idea of what's beneficial in a city change? Will we start to consider the needs of all species, not just our own?
It's a question we all need to grapple with.
Because the cities of the future will be shaped by the choices we make today, right?
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe with AI's help, we can build cities where both humans and nature can truly flourish.
Now that's a feud I can get behind.
Me too.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been an eye-opener for sure.
Anytime. This stuff is so important to talk about.
It really is. And for all of
Indeed.
you listening, keep those questions coming, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
See you then.
So nature, a seat at the table. It's very interesting.
It had some good analogies and some good comparisons. And I think it was good length as well. It wasn't too repetitive. It really followed the points well. It didn't go back to certain points. So it had a nice intro, discussion, and conclusion. Yes, Stuart, how do you come up with things like that?
I'm quite amazed. But I must say, I think Stuart really had that role as the entertainer in this particular iteration. So yeah, it's once again, I'm constantly surprised by what NotebookLM can generate. And I've listened to quite a few, not just the ones that have been featured on this mini-series, but many other experiments, which listeners can look forward to. But yeah, I mean, overall, how well did it, I guess, encompass our prompt? To me, it felt like it ignored the prompt completely.
Yep.
And that it didn't focus as much on the AI itself. And I think it's also just the inexperience maybe with using it. I've tried prompting it in different ways, and I've been trying to see how to adjust the audio based on that. But I think if the sources you provide have a very strong structure, then I think oftentimes even some of the more specific prompts may not be able to shift the episode in a direction that you want.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it followed the structure of the paper, more or less. It followed it nicely. And I even feel like it talked more about human-centric approach than AI stuff, because it glanced over some of the AI things that we were mentioning, because that section of our paper is actually much, much longer than a human-centric part. So it even shortened the AI-centric stuff.
Yeah, that is very possible. So what do you think of the summary?
I think it summarized well, and it summarized very concisely and to the point. I didn't go about things.
I think other than the analogies, which I think was the creative part, that was the entertaining part, I think it was pretty constrained. It didn't hallucinate. I think it was very to the point, as you said, not very repetitive compared to past examples.
Yeah.
What about the accuracy? I think at the start, we went through a lot of different areas of the multifunctionality of urban nature-based solutions, and it captured that. And then later on, we were more focused, and I think it really kept that focus.
I agree. I don't think it hallucinated on anything specifically. It did over-exaggerate some points that were not explicitly written in the paper. They were written, but you could interpret them in different ways. If you have a very general intelligence, not focused in this area of research.
Yep.
So I don't take it against it.
Definitely not. So was it believable? So if I gave it to you and I said nothing, and I know you're laughing because listeners, you may not know, but I have actually done this to Veljko. I have actually sent him a different version of this paper, and he thought it was a different podcast. So what about this new version, this second different version that we've generated?
If I did not know that NotebookLM exists and that it can do this, I think I would definitely believe this is real.
So it passes the Loveless test and the Turing test yet again.
I mean, yeah, I think these tests they're required for you to talk to the computer, these tests. But I think it's very believable. Like there are some sound issues, not sound issues, but some overlapping and some weird comments here and there. But as an awkward person myself, I find it very believable that there's another awkward podcaster like that. So I don't know, maybe from the first listen, I would not hear that. Probably if I listened to a couple of times, I'd have heard these subtle hints. But I mean, yeah, it didn't really repeat things. It kept up to the point. It kept it very nice and descriptive with good analogies. I think it's believable.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And I would say it was very entertaining. I definitely was amused. a lot of the times, especially when you're listening back to the work that you produced yourself, you really reflect upon some of the moments when you were writing those parts. So what is the potential going forward? What would you like to see in AI?
In this space, I think this is pretty good way of reaching the general audience with some of these publications, especially publication like this, that it's not super scientific, it's a perspectives paper, so it's not the new research that digs deep into a specific phenomena, but is more talking about what currently exists and what is the future direction. So things like that could be actually nice to have for any researcher when they write perspectives paper. It's nice to publish alongside that, to post a quick summary like this and to have them online next to their publications. I think it would benefit people, wider community that is interested in that topic, like a little YouTube video or whatever that goes along that. I mean, with the disclaimer that it's an AI generated. So, that we should not hide that. We should disclaim that all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think that, or using it to gain some ideas for yourselves about how you can go about communicating your work in ways that maybe the general public might understand as well.
I do agree with that, because we can get a lot of good ideas, especially these analogies. As you listen to them, you can write them down and use them later on in your presentations and stuff. I understand there's a lot of scientists that are introverted people. So I know this, it's hard to communicate sometimes. So this could be a good icebreaker if you are really interested in scientific communication and you want to start off with something to generate some ideas for you. And if you really don't like talking in public, it's a good tool.
Oh, definitely. And I think there's still a lot of areas that remain to be explored as to how this tool can be used to its fullest potential. But I hope through this third episode, we've been able to unravel a bit more of that, and also for ourselves gain a bit more of a deeper understanding on what NotebookLM and potentially any tools in the future can do. So
yeah, we should keep our eyes out for new tools and test them out as they come. I think it's very valuable, the things that you do here.
Well, I'll need you to update me, given that you're much closer to it than I am. Either way, I definitely enjoyed this one, and it's good to have you back after, it's been close to 2 years, 1.5 years since your episode came out, and it's good to see that you're doing well and you're really at the cutting edge of artificial intelligence now, and still within your field.
It's good to be back. Thank you for having me. It's good to be back at your special mini series that you're recording now. And it's good to talk about the AI stuff and to get the skepticism out of this being some weird spacey technology, as Stuart said. You don't have to understand it fully to know how it works, but you don't have to be afraid of it either.
No, that's true. And I think the message is clear for anyone also, including myself, who's been dealing with AI anxiety. I think you just need to educate yourself and learn what these tools are capable of and figure out how you can use them to your advantage. Exactly. Definitely. But Veljko, thank you very much for joining me in this experiment. And I hope you enjoyed it and got some new ideas as well for your next paper on perspectives of AI and NBS. We are going to write a continuation, right?
Of course. Thanks again for having me. And it's going to be, we'll have to keep an eye out on new stuff. We'll wait for a little bit for the next one, maybe next year when there are more stuff to write about, and we can talk about that next time.
Yeah. And thank you very much, listeners, for tuning into this special mini series. And if you enjoyed this, then do let us know what you think, and also your own impressions in case you've already started using NotebookLM yourself. You can post on the LinkedIn group and get in touch through the socials. But otherwise, thank you very much for tuning in, and hope you enjoyed this as well as the regular episodes on the Grand Challenges podcast. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
If you like this episode or the show in general, follow it on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts from to be notified of the latest release as soon as it becomes available. Check out the show notes and many other episodes over at petermbach.com/podcast, or join the LinkedIn group and share your thoughts.
The podcast's intro and outro song for this mini-series is called Funky Fortune by Danny Shields.
Stay tuned for our next episode of this mini-series to find out more about how AI may or may not tackle the grand challenges